When my husband, David, passed away, my world stopped moving. For years, I had built every routine, every thought, and every plan around him and our little family. Suddenly, the chair at the dining table where he used to sit was empty. The sound of his keys jingling by the door after work never came again. Even the quiet of the house was different, heavier. Grief doesn't just knock once at the door. It moves in, rearranges the furniture of your life, and makes itself comfortable. It had been only 6 months since David's passing, and I was still learning how to get out of bed in the morning without falling apart. My son, Ethan, was 12 years old. He was quiet most of the time, but not in the way I expected. It wasn't sadness alone. It was a strange mixture of maturity and silence, like he was holding back more than I could ever know. Children grieve differently. They don't always cry. Sometimes they just watch. And I could feel Ethan watching me. One evening, while I was folding laundry on the couch, Ethan walked in and sat down across from me. He didn't say anything at first. His hands fidgeted with the hem of his shirt, and his eyes stared at the floor. I knew that look. He wanted to ask something, but wasn't sure how. "Mom," he said finally, his voice small. "Yes, honey?" I answered, trying to sound calm, though my heart was already racing. He took a deep breath, his chest rising like he was bracing himself. "Do you ever wish things could go back to how they were? Like before Dad, before everything?" The question hit me harder than I expected. My throat tightened, but I forced a smile, trying to meet his eyes. "Every day, Ethan. Every single day." He nodded slowly, then whispered words that made me freeze. "Then why don't we talk about him anymore? Why don't we say his name?" I dropped the shirt I was folding, tears springing to my eyes. I hadn't realized it until that moment. I had stopped saying David's name. Maybe because I thought it would hurt too much. Maybe because I was afraid that if I spoke about him, the pain would come rushing back. But for Ethan, not saying his father's name felt like losing him twice. That night changed everything. From then on, Ethan and I started sharing memories of David every night at dinner. At first, they were small things. The way David always burned his pancakes, or how he never remembered where he left his glasses. But slowly, the memories grew deeper. Ethan told me about the time David took him fishing and they got caught in the rain, laughing as they slipped in the mud. I told him about how David once stayed up all night building Ethan's bike because he wanted it to be perfect by morning. The more we talked, the lighter the house felt. Grief was still there, but it didn't feel like it was suffocating us anymore. Then one evening, Ethan surprised me again. We were sitting outside on the porch, the sun setting, painting the sky with colors that David would have loved. Ethan looked at me and asked, "Mom, do you think Dad would be proud of me?" I choked back tears, placing my hand over his. "Ethan, your dad would be so proud of you. He always was. And he always will be." For the first time in months, Ethan smiled without forcing it. Weeks turned into months, and we created new traditions while holding onto the old ones. On David's birthday, Ethan baked a cake with me. It was messy, flour everywhere, but when we blew out the candles together, it felt like David was with us. On Christmas, we hung an ornament with David's picture right in the middle of the tree. Ethan insisted it should be the first ornament every year. But the biggest turning point came when Ethan asked me something one night while we were cleaning the kitchen. He put down his dish towel and said, "Mom, are you ever going to be happy again?" The question pierced me, but I realized he wasn't asking for himself. He was asking for both of us. "I don't know," I admitted honestly. "But I promise I'll try. For you. For us. And for Dad." And that's when Ethan hugged me, really hugged me, tighter than he had in months. He whispered, "Then I'll try too." Grief never truly goes away. It becomes part of you, like a scar that fades but never disappears. But my son's questions, the ones I wasn't ready for, were the very things that pulled me back into life. Years from now, I know Ethan will remember not just the loss, but the love that carried us through it. And maybe, just maybe, that's what David would have wanted most, for us to keep living together.